Growing up, I always thought my sister hung the moon and stars. Even now, staring at the zeros in my bank account where my college fund should be, a part of me still wants to believe she had good intentions. That's the thing about manipulation. It works best when it comes wrapped in a smile you've trusted your whole life. My name is Rebecca, and until yesterday, I thought I knew exactly where my life was headed. Community college wasn't glamorous, but it was my ticket to becoming the first person in our family to graduate. Well, it would have been, if Felicity hadn't decided my future was worth less than her vacation plans. Everything's perfectly safe, she'd assured me just 3 months ago, perched on our parents' old leather couch, the one piece of furniture we kept after the accident. Mom and Dad would have wanted me to protect your future, Becca. You know that. I believed her because that's what little sisters do. Because after losing our parents in that crash 2 years ago, Felicity became my entire world. She stepped up, handled the funeral arrangements, dealt with the insurance, and convinced me to let her manage the money Mom and Dad had set aside for my education. "You're too young to handle this kind of responsibility," she'd said, rubbing my back as I signed the paperwork, making her my financial guardian. "Let Big Sister take care of everything." The first sign something was wrong came in the form of a routine bank notification. I was grabbing coffee with my best friend Charlie when my phone buzzed. "Your account balance is below the minimum threshold," I read aloud, frowning at the screen. "That can't be right. There should be over 40,000 in there." Charlie lowered her latte. "Call the bank, right now." The conversation with Devin, the personal banking specialist, still echoes in my head. "I'm showing several large withdrawals over the past month," he said, his voice carefully neutral. "The most recent was yesterday, $15,000 transferred to a travel agency." "There must be some mistake," I insisted, my hands shaking as I gripped the phone. "My sister is the only other person with access, and she wouldn't—" "The transactions were authorized by Felicity Miller," Devin confirmed. "Would you like me to send you the documentation?" I didn't need to see the paperwork. My Instagram feed told the story in vivid color. While I was working double shifts at the diner to save up for textbooks, Felicity was posting stories from a luxury resort in Bali. The latest photo showed her lounging by an infinity pool, cocktail in hand, with her boyfriend Judah and their friend Valerie tagged in the caption, "Living our best lives. Blessed, no regrets." "I'm going to be sick," I muttered, showing Charlie the phone. "She's spending my college fund on a vacation?" That manipulative Charlie caught herself, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "What are you going to do?" Before I could answer, another notification popped up, a text from Felicity herself. "Having the most amazing time. Wish you were here, baby sis. Don't worry about those bank alerts. Everything's fine. I'll explain when I get back. Love you." The casual tone, the dismissive reassurance, the way she assumed I'd just accept whatever explanation she conjured up. It was all so perfectly Felicity. For the first time in my life, I saw our relationship clearly. Every childhood memory shifted, revealing the manipulation behind her protective big sister act. "I need to go to the bank," I said, standing up so abruptly my chair scraped against the floor. "I need to see everything." "Want me to come with you?" Charlie asked, already reaching for her purse. I shook my head. "I need to do this alone, but can I crash at your place tonight? I don't think I can face her when she gets back." "My couch is your couch," Charlie promised. "And Rebecca, whatever you decide to do about this, I've got your back." Walking to the bank, I scrolled through more of Felicity's vacation photos. Each swipe revealed another expense: luxury spa treatments, designer shopping sprees, sunset yacht cruises. My entire future transformed into Instagram content for my sister's followers to envy. The final photo stopped me in my tracks. Felicity, raising a champagne glass to the camera, wearing Mom's sapphire pendant, the one she promised we'd share. The caption read, "Sometimes you have to treat yourself like the queen you are." That's when I knew. No more excuses. No more believing the best of someone who consistently proved they deserved the worst. My sister might have hung the moon and stars in my world, but it was time to bring them crashing down around her perfectly curated life. I pushed open the bank's heavy glass doors, my heart pounding but my resolve firm. "Hi," I said to the receptionist. "I need to speak with someone about reporting fraud on my account." Felicity's key scraped in the lock at 3 a.m., exactly 1 week after I discovered what she'd done. I sat waiting in the dark living room, the printed bank statements spread across the coffee table like evidence at a crime scene. Becca? She flipped on the lights, designer suitcase rolling behind her. Why are you sitting in the dark? And why haven't you been answering my texts? How was Bali? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. The infinity pool looked amazing. She broke into a wide smile, dropping her bags. Oh my God, it was incredible. You would have loved it. The spa treatments alone. She paused, finally noticing the papers on the table. What's all this? My college fund. I picked up one statement. Or what's left of it, which is basically nothing. Felicity's smile didn't falter, but something shifted in her eyes. Oh, that. Listen, I can explain everything. You're making it sound way worse than it is. Please, explain how spending $40,000 of my money on a luxury vacation isn't exactly what it looks like. She perched on the armchair across from me, still wearing her airport outfit. Probably designer, probably bought with my future. We needed this vacation, Becca. After everything we've been through with Mom and Dad, don't we deserve to live a little? We? My laugh came out harsh. I wasn't there. I was here, working doubles at the diner, thinking my college fund was safe because my sister promised to protect it. Don't be so dramatic. She waved her hand dismissively. You can take out student loans like everyone else. I did you a favor. Now you'll learn the value of hard work. The casual cruelty of her words hit me like a physical blow. The value of Felicity, that money was my future. Mom and Dad saved it for my education. And they would have wanted us to be happy. She stood up, pacing the room. You didn't see how amazing it was. The resort, the shopping, the experiences. We were living like queens. We? I grabbed my phone, pulling up her Instagram. You mean you, Judah, and Valerie were living like queens, using my money. Judah doesn't know about the money, she said quickly. Neither does Valerie, and they don't need to know. This is between us, sister to sister. Does Judah know you're a thief? Her face darkened. Watch yourself, Rebecca. I'm still your legal guardian. I made the best decision for both of us. Both of us? I stood up, hands shaking. Tell me how spending my college fund on your vacation benefits me in any way. You're young, she said, her voice taking on that condescending tone I used to mistake for wisdom. You don't understand how the real world works. Sometimes opportunities come up, and you have to seize them. I seized an opportunity to create memories that will last a lifetime. My phone buzzed, a text from Charlie. Did you confront her yet? Do you need backup? You know what, Felicity? I gathered the bank statements into a neat pile. You're right, I am young, but I understand exactly how the real world works now, thanks to you. She smiled, clearly thinking she'd won. I knew you'd understand, baby sis. Now let me show you the gorgeous sundress I bought you. I'm pressing charges. The words hung in the air between us. Her smile froze, then cracked. You're what? I met with the bank yesterday, then a lawyer. What you did is fraud, Felicity. It's a crime. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. You wouldn't dare. I'm your sister. Your only family. Family doesn't steal from family. I headed for the door, overnight bag in hand. The bank is freezing the accounts tomorrow. The lawyer will be in touch. Where are you going? Her voice rose, panic creeping in. Rebecca, stop being ridiculous. Come back here. I'm staying with Charlie. I paused at the door. Oh, and Felicity, Mom's sapphire pendant, the one you promised we'd share, I want it back. Now. You ungrateful little... She caught herself, switching tactics. Becca, please. We can work this out. Sisters fight, but we don't do this to each other. You're right. I held out my hand. Sisters don't do this to each other. The pendant, please. Her hands shook as she unclasped the necklace. As she dropped it in my palm, she whispered, You'll regret this. When you calm down and realize what you've done, it'll be too late. I already regret a lot of things, I said, closing the door behind me. Trusting you is at the top of that list. Outside, the night air felt clean and cool. My phone buzzed again. Charlie sending her address, followed by a string of heart emojis. For the first time since discovering Felicity's betrayal, I felt something like peace. Sometimes the hardest part of growing up is realizing the people you looked up to were never as tall as you thought they were. Miss Miller? Devin, the banker, gestured to the chair across from his desk. I've reviewed all the documentation you provided. Are you absolutely certain you want to proceed with pressing charges? I clutched Mom's sapphire pendant, drawing strength from its familiar weight. I'm sure. Your sister's actions constitute clear financial fraud, he said, spreading documents across his desk. But I want you to understand, this will likely result in criminal charges. There's no going back once we file the report. Charlie, who'd insisted on coming with me, squeezed my hand. Tell him about the text, Becca. I pulled out my phone, showing Devin the string of messages Felicity had sent since last night. If you do this, you'll destroy our family. Think about what Mom and Dad would say. I'll pay you back eventually. Don't be so dramatic. You're making a huge mistake. The latest one had arrived just minutes ago. Hope you're happy. Judah's asking questions. If I lose him over this, I'll never forgive you. Classic manipulation, Charlie muttered. She's still trying to make you feel guilty for her crimes. Devin nodded, adding the screenshots to his growing file. These messages actually help our case. They show consciousness of guilt. He leaned forward, his expression sympathetic. I've seen cases like this before. Family financial abuse is more common than people think. My voice caught. I just want her to face consequences for once in her life. She will, he assured me. The evidence is clear. Multiple unauthorized transfers, documented purchases, social media posts showing the spending. It's all here. A knock on the office door interrupted us. Another banker poked her head in. Devin, there's someone here insisting on joining this meeting. Says she's the account holder's sister. My heart stopped. Felicity? But it was Valerie who stormed in, designer handbag swinging. Rebecca, what the hell are you doing? Do you have any idea what you're putting Felicity through? Ma'am, Devin stood up. This is a private meeting. Private? Valerie laughed. Nothing's private anymore. Felicity's crying her eyes out. Judah's threatening to leave her, and all because little sister here can't handle sharing. Sharing? Charlie jumped up. She stole $40,000. It was a family vacation, Valerie shot back. Felicity wanted to help everyone distress after losing their parents. She was being generous. With my money, I said quietly. Money that wasn't hers to be generous with. God, you're so selfish. Valerie turned to Devin. Look, whatever she's told you, it's a misunderstanding. Sisters share things. That's what families do. Sisters share clothes. I stood up facing her. They share makeup and secrets and maybe even apartments. They don't share stolen college funds on luxury vacations. Ma'am, I need to ask you to leave, Devin said firmly. Before I call security. Valerie's perfectly made-up face twisted. Fine. But Rebecca, remember this moment when you're all alone. Remember you chose this. After she stormed out, Devin cleared his throat. Well, that was interesting. Are you okay? I nodded, sinking back into my chair. That's Felicity's best friend. They've always been like this, acting like I'm the unreasonable one for having boundaries. Classic enabler behavior, Charlie muttered. Bet she knew where the money came from all along. Actually, Devin said, if she was aware of the source of funds, she could be considered an accomplice. Would you be willing to provide a statement about her involvement? The thought of taking down Valerie along with Felicity made me pause. Then I remembered all the times they'd laughed at my simple life choices, all while spending my future on their luxuries. Yes, I said. I'll provide whatever statements you need. Excellent. Devin began preparing the formal complaint. The police will want to interview you next. Are you prepared for that? She's prepared for everything, Charlie declared, and she's not alone. My phone buzzed again. This time with a message from Camilla, another friend from our group. Just saw Felicity's meltdown on Instagram Live. Call me. What's really going on? Speaking of not being alone, I showed Charlie the message. Looks like people are starting to ask questions. Good, she said. Let them ask. Let them all see exactly who your sister really is. Devin handed me a pen. Initial here, here, and sign at the bottom. This officially starts the investigation. As I signed my name, I thought about Felicity's words from last night. You'll regret this. Maybe she was right. Maybe someday I would regret being the one to bring her carefully constructed world crashing down. But watching Devin fax the complaint to the fraud department, I felt something stronger than regret. Relief. For the first time in my life, I wasn't living in Felicity's shadow. I was standing in my own light, and it felt right. What happens now? I asked Devin. He gathered the documents into a folder. Now we let justice take its course. You need to see this, Charlie said, thrusting her phone in my face during our shift at the diner. She's completely lost it. Felicity's latest Instagram post showed her back at the luxury resort, this time with a cryptic caption. When life gets hard, true friends step up. So blessed to have real ones in my corner. Unbothered, living my best life. She went back to Bali? I nearly dropped the coffee pot I was holding. How? The accounts are frozen. Check the tags, Charlie pointed. Sure enough, Valerie was tagged as the location sponsor, along with some vague reference to emergency self-care funds. My phone buzzed with a message from Devin. Need you to come to the bank. New developments in the case. Go, Charlie said, taking the coffee pot from my hands. I'll cover your tables. At the bank, Devin looked more serious than usual. Your sister made additional transfers before we could freeze everything, he said, sliding a document across his desk. She emptied her personal savings and maxed out 2 credit cards. Let me guess. More vacation expenses? Actually, he pulled up some transaction records. She's been moving money between accounts trying to cover her tracks. But here's where it gets interesting. She used Judah's credit card for the new resort booking. My stomach dropped. Does he know? He does now. Devin gestured to his computer. He just called us about unauthorized charges. As if on cue, my phone lit up with a message from Judah. We need to talk. Can you meet me? I showed Devin the message. Should I? That's your choice, he said, but anything he tells you could be relevant to the case. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Judah at a coffee shop downtown. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. I had no idea, he said, running his hands through his hair, about any of it. The college fund, the first trip, none of it. I believe you. She told me her parents left her an inheritance, he continued. Said she wanted to treat everyone to a vacation because life is short. I actually thought... He laughed bitterly. I thought she was being incredibly generous. That's Felicity, I said. She's always been good at spinning stories. But now she's using my cards? He pulled out his phone, showing me the charges. When I confronted her, she said it was an emergency, that you were trying to ruin her life with false accusations, and she needed to get away to protect her mental health. And Valerie? Enabled the whole thing. They're both at the resort right now, posting about rising above negativity or whatever. He shook his head. I feel like such an idiot. My phone buzzed with another Instagram notification. Felicity had posted a story, a video this time. She was lounging by the same infinity pool, looking straight into the camera. To everyone asking about the drama, she said, her voice syrupy sweet, just remember there are 2 sides to every story. Family can hurt you worse than anyone, but I choose to rise above. And to my baby sister, I forgive you for this betrayal. When you're ready to apologize, I'll be here. Turn it off, Judah said. I can't watch any more of her performance. Performance is right, I said, closing the app. She's trying to control the narrative. Well, it stops now. He stood up. I'm pressing charges too, for the credit card fraud. Before I could respond, Camila burst into the coffee shop looking frantic. Have you seen what Valerie just posted? She held up her phone, showing a private group chat screenshot. In it, Felicity was laying out her version of events, how I'd allegedly given her permission to use the money, how I was just jealous of her happiness, how she had documentation to prove everything. She's trying to get ahead of the legal proceedings, I realized, building her defense. It gets worse. Camilla scrolled down. She's asking everyone to choose sides, says anyone who supports you is betraying her. Classic Felicity, Judah muttered. She's burning every bridge she can find. My phone rang. Devin again. Rebecca, the police want to move forward with the case. They're sending officers to the resort tomorrow morning. She has no idea what's coming, does she? I asked, watching another notification pop up, another carefree vacation photo from my sister. No, Devin said, but she's about to find out. I looked at Judah and Camilla, both waiting for my response. Tell them to do it, I said into the phone. It's time Felicity's vacation came to an end. As I hung up, another Instagram alert appeared. Felicity raising a champagne glass to the sunset. Some people try to dim your light. Shine anyway. Well, Camilla said, tomorrow's sunrise is going to hit different. The Instagram live notification popped up at 7:43 a.m. Felicity is going live, morning meditation by the infinity pool. Charlie, Judah, and I huddled around my phone in Charlie's living room, watching as my sister adjusted her designer yoga mat. The resort's security team was visible in the background, approaching with purpose. And now we'll move into warrior pose, Felicity was saying, letting all negative energy flow. Excuse me, Ms. Miller? A uniformed officer stepped into frame. We need you to come with us. Felicity's serene expression faltered. I'm in the middle of something. Can this wait? No, ma'am, it cannot. Another officer appeared. We have warrants for your arrest on charges of fraud and theft. The phone shook as Felicity scrambled to her feet. This is ridiculous. Do you know who I am? I'm a guest here. Oh my God, Charlie whispered. She's still live. Viewer count was skyrocketing as Valerie rushed into frame, her designer caftan fluttering. You can't do this. We paid for this vacation. With stolen funds and fraudulent credit cards, the officer replied calmly. Please step aside, ma'am. This is all your fault, Felicity screamed, presumably at me through the phone. Are you watching, Rebecca? Are you happy now? The live feed shook violently as someone grabbed for the phone. The last thing we saw was Felicity being led away, still in her yoga outfit, while Valerie shouted about calling their lawyer. Holy shit, Judah breathed. That just happened. My phone exploded with notifications. Screenshots of the arrest were already circulating in group chats. Camilla sent a series of wide-eyed emojis followed by, Did anyone record that? I did, Charlie said grimly. Every second. The phone rang. Devon. Rebecca? They've got her in custody. Valerie, too, for attempting to interfere with the arrest. They'll be transported back home for processing. What happens next? Bail hearing tomorrow morning. Given the amount stolen and the attempted cover-up, the prosecutor's pushing for serious charges. After hanging up, I scrolled through the chaos erupting on social media. Friends were choosing sides, just as Felicity had demanded. But her perfectly curated narrative was crumbling as the truth spread. Look at this. Judah showed me his phone. Someone had compiled a timeline of Felicity's posts. The lavish spending, the manipulative captions, the constant portrayal of herself as the victim. It ended with today's arrest footage. Your sister's going viral, Charlie said, but probably not how she planned. My phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. It was Valerie, voice shaking. They're holding us at the local police station. Felicity's hysterical. She says if you drop the charges right now, she'll forgive everything. Forgive everything? I repeated, putting the call on speaker. She stole my future. She's your sister. Family forgives. No, I said firmly. Family doesn't steal from family, and real friends don't help cover it up. How long did you know where the money came from, Valerie? The silence was damning. That's what I thought. I hung up. Another notification. Felicity had somehow gotten her phone back and posted one last time before being processed. The truth will come out. Blood is thicker than water, and karma comes for everyone. Watch your back, little sister. Betrayed a family over everything. Is that a threat? Charlie grabbed her phone to document it. It's desperation, Judah said. She's finally realizing she can't charm her way out of this one. My phone rang again. The police station. Miss Miller, your sister is asking to speak with you before processing. You're not obligated to. I'll come, I said. I want her to see me. Charlie and Judah insisted on driving me. Outside the station, reporters had already gathered. Apparently, a social media influencer's public arrest was newsworthy. Ready? Charlie squeezed my hand. I touched Mom's sapphire pendant for courage. Ready. Inside, they led me to an interview room. Through the window, I could see Felicity, still in her yoga outfit, makeup streaked with tears. Gone was the perfectly curated image she showed the world. This was my sister stripped bare of all pretense. Last chance to back out, the officer said. I thought about all the times I'd backed down, all the times I'd let Felicity's manipulation work its magic. Not today. I want to see her, I said. She needs to understand that this time her actions have real consequences. As I reached for the door handle, another officer hurried up. We found something in her phone records. Looks like she was planning to leave the country permanently, had tickets booked to a non-extradition country. I took a deep breath. Let's do this. The door opened and Felicity's head snapped up. Becca, she said, trying for her usual manipulative smile. We need to talk. Non-extradition country? I sat across from Felicity in the interview room. Were you planning to disappear with what's left of my money? Her mascara-streaked face crumpled. You don't understand. I had to have an escape plan after what you did. After what I did? The words came out sharper than I intended. You stole my college fund, maxed out Judah's credit cards, and tried to frame me as the villain. And you were going to run? I was protecting us. She leaned forward, chains clinking. Everything I did was for both of us. We could have gone together, started fresh somewhere else. A knock at the door interrupted her pitch. The officer stepped in with a tablet. Miss Miller, we found these messages between your sister and Valerie. You should see them. The screenshots showed their conversation from 3 months ago. Felicity found access to Becca's college fund, almost $40K sitting there doing nothing. Valerie, OMG girl, time for that dream vacation? Felicity, already booking. She'll never know. She trusts me completely. Valerie, what if she finds out? Felicity, please, I'll just cry about missing our parents and she'll fold like always. You planned this, I said quietly, from the very beginning. Those messages are private. Felicity tried to grab the tablet. You can't use those. Actually, we can, the officer said. They're evidence of premeditated fraud. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Someone had leaked our story to the media. Social media influencer arrested. Sister exposes financial fraud scheme. My life is over, Felicity moaned. My followers, my reputation, your followers. I stood up. What about my future? The future mom and dad saved for? Don't bring them into this. She slammed her hands on the table. You think they'd want their daughters fighting like this? No, I said. They'd want the daughter they trusted to protect their youngest to actually do that. The door opened again. This time it was Judah, looking devastated. The credit card company found more charges, he said. She bought tickets to Dubai last week, one way. Felicity's face went white. Judah, baby, I can explain. Save it. He dropped a stack of papers on the table. Here's all the evidence of fraud against my accounts. I'm pressing full charges. You can't. She reached for him, but the chains stopped her. I love you. You love yourself, he corrected. The rest of us were just props in your show. My phone kept buzzing. Messages from friends, former followers of Felicity, even strangers. The story was exploding online. Someone had started a hashtag. Cheered justice for Rebecca. Everyone's turning against me, Felicity whispered, scrolling through her own notifications. Valerie's not even answering my calls. She's probably busy with her own legal troubles, the officer commented. Her arraignment's tomorrow morning. A message from Camilla popped up. Just saw the news. I'm so sorry I ever doubted you. Need anything? Face it, Felicity, I said, gathering my things. The game is over. No more manipulation, no more lies, no more playing the victim while you victimize others. Please, she grabbed my arm. Don't leave me here. I'm your sister, your only family. Family doesn't steal $40,000 and plan to abandon their sister for Dubai. I gently removed her hand. The bail hearing is tomorrow. Until then, maybe use this time to think about why you're really here. What am I supposed to do? She called after me as I headed for the door. Where am I supposed to go? I turned back one last time. That's the thing about consequences, Felicity. They don't care about your plans. Outside, Charlie was waiting with coffee. You okay? No, I admitted. But I will be. My phone lit up with another notification. Felicity's last post had been shared thousands of times, but not how she intended. People were calling her out, sharing their own stories of family financial abuse, creating a movement she never meant to inspire. Look at this. Charlie showed me a message from Valerie's sister. Valerie did the same thing to me last year. I was too scared to speak up. Thank you for being braver than I was. It's bigger than just us now, I realized. You did that, Charlie said. You stood up to her. You showed people they don't have to accept abuse just because it comes from family. As we drove home, I got one final message from Devin at the bank. The prosecutor wants to use your case to set a precedent for family financial fraud. You could help change how these cases are handled. What are you thinking? Charlie asked, seeing my expression. I touched Mom's pendant again, remembering all the times Felicity had used our parents' memory to manipulate me. I'm thinking it's time to turn this mess into something meaningful. That's my girl, Charlie smiled. Now let's get some real food. Fighting injustice makes me hungry. For the first time in days, I laughed. Sometimes the hardest battles lead to the most important victories. The courthouse buzzed with tension as Felicity was let in for her bail hearing. She'd traded her yoga outfit for a conservative dress, but no amount of styling could hide the dark circles under her eyes or the tremor in her hands. "All rise," the bailiff called. I sat between Charlie and Judah in the gallery, watching my sister's performance begin. She'd perfected the art of appearing vulnerable, tilting her head just so, letting a single tear roll down her cheek at exactly the right moment. "Your Honor," her lawyer began, "my client is a respected member of the community with strong local ties." "Your Honor," the prosecutor interrupted, standing. "If I may?" She held up her tablet. "The defendant purchased one-way tickets to Dubai last week. She's a clear flight risk." Felicity's mask slipped for just a second, her eyes darting to the exit. "Furthermore," the prosecutor continued, "we have evidence of extensive premeditation, including messages plotting the theft and subsequent cover-up. The state requests denial of bail." "That's ridiculous," Felicity burst out. "It was a family matter, a misunderstanding." "Ms. Miller," the judge warned, "control yourself or you'll be removed." I felt a tap on my shoulder. Devin had slipped into the row behind us. "The fraud department found more," he whispered. "She tried to access your parents' life insurance policy last month." "What?" My voice came out louder than intended, drawing Felicity's attention. Her eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment I saw something I'd never seen before: raw panic. "Your Honor," her lawyer tried again, "my client's sister is here today. Perhaps she'd like to speak on behalf of—" "Actually," I stood up, "I would." The judge nodded. "Approach the podium, please." Walking forward, I felt Felicity's desperate gaze following me. She mouthed, "Please," as I passed, but I kept my eyes on the judge. "Your Honor, my sister has always been good at making people see what she wants them to see. She convinced me our parents would have wanted her to control my college fund. She convinced her boyfriend she had an inheritance. She convinced her followers she was living an authentic life." Felicity shifted in her seat, mask cracking further. "But the truth is, she's been lying to everyone, including herself. She didn't just steal my money. She stole my trust, my future, and our parents' legacy." "Liar," Felicity shot up. "You're just jealous. You've always been jealous of me." "Ms. Miller," the judge slammed his gavel. "One more outburst and you're going to holding." "You can't do this to me." She whirled to face the gallery. "Judah, tell them. Tell them I did it for us." Judah stood slowly. "Your Honor, I'd like to submit my own victim impact statement regarding the credit card fraud." Something in Felicity finally broke. "You're all against me. This isn't fair. I'm the victim here." As officers moved to restrain her, she locked eyes with me one last time. "I should have taken more," she screamed. "You never deserved any of it. You're nothing without me." The gallery erupted in murmurs as they led her away. The judge called for order, then looked directly at me. "Given the defendant's outburst, attempted flight risk, and the severity of charges, bail is denied. The defendant will remain in custody until trial." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. "Rebecca, how do you feel about your sister's breakdown? Is it true she planned to flee the country? Will you be starting a foundation for victims of family financial abuse?" Charlie stepped in front of me, creating a barrier. "No comments today." My phone buzzed. A message from Valerie's sister. "Saw what happened in court. I'm testifying against Valerie tomorrow. Thank you for showing me it's possible to stand up to family." Another notification popped up. A news alert. "Social media influencer's empire crumbles. A story of fraud, family, and justice." "You okay?" Judah asked as we reached the car. "No," I admitted, "but I'm better than I was yesterday." Speaking of yesterday, Devin caught up with us. "The bank's fraud department has some good news. We've traced most of the missing funds. With the seized assets and restitution, you should get back about 70% of your college fund." "Really?" He nodded. "And the prosecutor wants to talk to you about turning this into a landmark case for family financial abuse. Your story could help change laws." Charlie squeezed my hand. "See, sometimes the worst things lead to the best changes." My phone buzzed one last time. An email from the community college. Regarding your application for the upcoming semester. Open it, Charlie urged. I took a deep breath, thinking about how far I'd come from that night I discovered the empty bank account. Sometimes the hardest part isn't standing up to others, it's standing up for yourself. Dear Rebecca, I read aloud, we are pleased to inform you. The rest was drowned out by Charlie's excited squeal, but it didn't matter. For the first time since this all began, I knew exactly where I was heading, and it wasn't in anyone's shadow. The verdict came down on a Tuesday morning. I sat in the courtroom, clutching Charlie's hand as the judge addressed Felicity. The court finds the defendant guilty on all counts of fraud, theft, and attempted flight to avoid prosecution. Felicity stood motionless, her designer outfit and perfectly styled hair a stark contrast to the handcuffs at her wrists. Before sentencing, the judge continued, would the defendant like to make a statement? She turned, scanning the courtroom until her eyes found mine. I did what I had to do, she said, her voice hollow. If anyone should understand that, it's you, Rebecca. Ms. Miller, the judge interrupted, this court has heard extensive evidence of your premeditated actions, lack of remorse, and continued attempts to manipulate both victims and witnesses. I sentence you to 4 years in state prison, with mandatory restitution payments upon release. As they led her away, she called out one last time, I'm still your sister. You can't just forget me. No, I whispered, though she couldn't hear me, but I can forgive you from a distance. Outside, Camilla was waiting with coffee and news. Valerie took a plea deal, she announced. She's getting 18 months plus community service, and she has to pay back everything she spent on that vacation. My phone lit up with a notification from the college bursar's office. Restitution payment received, updated account balance available. Open it, Charlie urged. Before I could, Devin approached with a woman I recognized from TV, Senator Martinez, who'd been following my case. Rebecca, the senator smiled warmly. Your testimony helped push through the Family Financial Protection Act. It passed committee this morning. Really? Really? Your story showed people that financial abuse isn't just about romantic partners. It happens in families too. The new law will make it easier for victims to recover assets and press charges. Speaking of assets, Devin added, with the seized property and restitution orders from both Felicity and Valerie, your college fund is almost completely restored. I opened the bursar's notification. The numbers brought tears to my eyes, enough to finish my degree, with some left over for grad school. There's more, the senator said. We're launching a foundation to help victims of family financial abuse. We'd like you to be on the board. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Charlie nudged me. You can help other people find their voice. My phone buzzed again. A message from Judah. Just finished boxing up the last of Felicity's things from my place. Found something that belongs to you. He approached, holding a familiar leather-bound book. Your parents' photo album. She had it hidden in her closet. I opened it carefully. Inside, behind the family photos, was an envelope addressed to me in Mom's handwriting. For Rebecca's education, open on graduation day. She kept this from you too. Charlie peered over my shoulder. Classic Felicity, I said, but the bitterness was gone from my voice, always trying to control the story. But she couldn't control this ending, Camilla pointed out. No, I agreed, tucking the envelope safely away. I did that. A reporter approached, microphone ready. Rebecca, how does it feel knowing your case has already helped change laws? For once, I didn't let Charlie shield me. It feels like maybe everything happened for a reason, I said. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best opportunities to help others. And your sister? Will you visit her? Maybe someday, I said honestly, when she's ready to see me as I am, not as who she wanted me to be. Later, sitting in my first college class, Introduction to Psychology, I touched Mom's sapphire pendant and thought about endings and beginnings, about how sometimes you have to lose everything to find out who you really are. My phone lit up with a final message from Valerie's sister. Starting a support group for survivors of family financial abuse. Already have 10 members. Thank you for showing us the way. I smiled, thinking of all the stories yet to be told, all the voices yet to be found. Felicity had always said I lived in her shadow, but she was wrong. I wasn't in anyone's shadow anymore. The professor walked in, calling the class to attention. Today, she said, We're going to discuss family dynamics and the psychology of trust. I open my notebook, ready to write my own story, not as Felicity's little sister, not as a victim, but as myself, Rebecca, student, survivor, changemaker. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting better. And that's exactly what I plan to do. Now, the professor smiled, who wants to share their experience with family relationships? I raised my hand. After all, I had quite a story to tell.